Let's go. There ain't nothing you can tell us. We in the club with the fellas, politicking with the vibe crew. We're a vibe, you can't kill us. You can't kill us. All for entertainment only, so don't try to keep receipts. Just sit back, watch and listen from wherever. Grab your seats, grab your seats. Unacceptable. Just grab your seats, grab your seats. Unacceptable behavior. The fellas, they walk in excellence. Yeah, they intelligent, and they also find into what their minds and convo is evident. Unacceptable. Unacceptable behavior. In the cut, them complimenting the truth. They standing for something, they falling for nothing. Yeah, that a man with salute. Yeah, that a man with salute. Unacceptable behavior. Now for the vibe queens, the ladies of beauty, and it ain't no small thing. Our sisters, they hold us down, they do all things. Yeah, they're the black queens. It's the network. It's the network. It's the network. Unacceptable behavior.
What's up, my blessed people? It's your boy, B Money. And you know what time it is. It's the fellas, and we back. We in the middle of a cross-country tour, but we wanted to take some time out to stop and holler at y'all on some stuff that fell on our mind. But hey, let's get into it. Before we get into it, what up, B?
What up? What it do? Y'all driving safe? Y'all being good out there on them roads?
Yeah. Jew driving soft, but we getting after it, man. You know, doing what we can.
I mean, y'all making a cross country trip, and I ain't never seen it take 4 hours in one. Y'all drove 4 hours in one day. That don't make no sense to me.
What you mean, bro?
That makes no sense. You're supposed to hit like 16 on the first day. What are you doing? Like, what are you doing?
We're easing into the drive, man. You got to ease into the drive. Cats ain't we ain't 18
Y'all ain't young no more. Y'all ain't young.
We ain't young no more. Where you can just jump right into it and get over half the trip in one day.
I understand. Was I not supposed to say that?
No, you good. You good.
Yeah.
We just not young anymore.
Yeah, we had to stop in Vegas too, so the 4 hours was perfect. We had to come live in the fella chateau for a night.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and last thing is we was able to see some rocks.
Y'all saw some rocks. Well, I figured, you know what I'm saying, the fella chateau is changing over to a Miami residence. We done picked up a residency in Miami, I think. So
we got them all over the country. Just gotta stay tuned.
But, yeah, residency. Coming to a stage near you, Miami. What up?
Hey, man. Hey, I would ask you how you doing, Drew, but I've been around you all day, so I know you good. But I am gonna ask you, what would you do? So one of the questions for what would you do is opposite sex friends. What's your take on it, Jew?
You got 69 seconds, bro. See,
yes.
Look, y'all get on the road together and sitting next to each other and carrying on, and you forgetting the rules of the game, B Money. What, you drunk, man? What you been doing? What's going on, producer?
Hey, man, look, we got faithful followers now. So at the end of the day, they know what time it is. 69 seconds for Drew to do what he got to do. So if I got to re-explain it every show, hey, for our faithfuls and for hopefully some new, watch.
We always have new listeners, man. Come on, bro.
What would you? Hey, man, at the end of the day, so I don't want to do that. Be like, dang, why he do it in 69 seconds? Then they go back and watch one of the other shows. But anyways, hey, what would you do? My man has 69 seconds or 1 minute and 9 seconds in order to answer the question in which that is being asked. So we good now? We good. Hey, this topic is, hey, what would you do regarding opposite sex friends?
All right. So opposite sex friends, I think it's good to go because you're in a situation a lot of times, depending on where people come from, they could have had that friend for a long time. So there's different scenarios, and you have to just use your common sense on this. If it's somebody that's been in your life for a long time, I don't think a significant other should be tripping just because they're the opposite sex. Regardless, this is gender neutral. And if you run into a situation where somebody's meeting new friends all the time, and they're in a situation where it's like, hey, this is my friend from so and so, I just met them a year ago, and they like kicking it hard, and that's like your buddy, sister, brother, cousin, and all that kind of stuff, it comes off a little sketch. There's nothing wrong with it being a friend, but at that point in time, if you got a significant other that's self-conscious about that, or self-conscious about that, or essentially has some concerns or insecurities, then y'all should all be friends. But if that's not the case, and it's somebody that's been your homie for a long time, people shouldn't be tripping. Check your insecurities at the door and let people be friends. If you really run into some issues or see something that's a little sketch, then call it out. Trust your other partner. But if not, then I'm not even gonna say then leave. But that's what you would do. Let friends be friends, especially if it's been a minute.
Can't be friends.
Hey, he didn't make it. So it did go like a minute and 13 seconds, 73 seconds. But at the end of the day, thank you for.
That's because Jew ain't no 1 minute man, bro. He ain't no 1 minute man.
Thank you.
Hey,
strategic pause in there.
Hey, man, we got a show for y'all. Hey, the NBA draft is coming up, and we gonna talk about the draft. We're gonna jump right in, but before we do, I'm gonna let y'all know the topics that we're gonna cover today. What characteristics are you looking for in a first round draft? What causes prospects stock to rise and fall? What are boom and bust traits? What can cause a first round draft pick to fall out of the first round? But y'all know, as the fellas, we always got a little spin on it, but you'll catch it as we talk about it. So let's get back to our first one. What characteristic?
Before that, today draft day, though, right?
Yeah, today is
release on draft day.
Today is draft day. That's why we releasing this on draft day. Hey, hope y'all watch the NBA draft, and hopefully, you'll identify what round.
Hey, I got one for that. Hey, there's that fun. I know you've seen that skit from SNL where it was like the draft bubble. And essentially, like, you haven't seen it? Well, you got to check it out. It's like all the fees are like running up essentially because they're trying to get drafted so they can go down into the bubble. Back when the bubble, NBA during COVID, they were only allowing like significant others, like wives and everything. But then you had a couple of other individuals that were trying to get drafted to go down to the bubble. But check out that skit.
Falls right into it. Hey, what characteristics are you looking for in a first round draft pick? Fellas,
So I don't want to sound like y'all know B-Bond love the feet, bro. The first thing I'm looking at is your shoe game, man. If it's the summertime and you got your toes out, are they throwing up gang signs? If it's the wintertime, are them forces looking like you done poured chocolate milk? But I don't want to seem like it's just an outwardly appearance thing. You know what I'm saying? Can you hold a conversation? Can you hold a conversation? If I take you home to mom's, is Mama Deuce gonna say you ugly, man? You know what I'm saying?
Hold on. You just said it's not about outside. Can you hold a conversation?
I know. I sound like I'm sounding real cynical right now. I know.
I mean, hey, you gotta speak on it.
But let's be real. So, I feel like as men, we always get put, our feet always get put to the fire, right? We can't be no bus driver. A chick ain't gonna let us holler if we a bus driver. If we ain't bringing in a certain amount and we can't take care of them and this, that, and other. They always talking about, I can't date no brokey. Well, the same go for us. We don't want no brokey either. Can you hold a conversation? Can you get a job? Can you hold a job? And then at the end of the day, with that job, are you getting your nails done, your feet done, your hair done? Are you out here walking around with a bonnet? Nobody want to see all that. You know what I'm saying? Nobody want no dusty.
Oh. Hey, bro, side note. I was at a track meet yesterday, and I saw this girl running in like a bonnet.
See? So yeah,
She was getting ready. She getting ready to go to the club that night.
See, and then if you out in these streets with some, you know what I'm saying, with your the slippers on, your pajamas on, oh, come on, bro. We ain't nah. This is 2023. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, so I mean, I echo a lot of things that you just said there, and but for me to add to that and not foot stomp some of the things you mentioned is first round draft pick things that you're looking for, and this is gender neutral for the most part. You're looking for somebody. If you first round draft pick in the NBA,
hold on, bro.
It can't be gender neutral, so you going both ways?
yeah, 'cause that's
So it can't be gender neutral. This is your first round draft.
this is my first round draft pick.
unless unless I don't know.
Okay, my first round draft pick as the GM. Like if you're going in the first round, you're getting paid a lot of money. You're getting a lot of benefits. You're getting a lot of clout. You're getting a lot of shine.
Yeah.
So with all that money comes responsibilities. I need to see someone that's good with their money. So not just having a job. If you're getting your nails done and hair done and doing all that kind of stuff, you ain't got no dollars in your account. For me, that's not first round draft pick qualities. I'm not going to elaborate too much on that because I don't want to start burning future questions. But so budget conscious, not a lot of priors. Same thing. Like, you're looking at people on the teams. You don't want somebody that's been in trouble with the law.
Well, priors. Oh, come on, man. We don't care about that, bro.
So I'm talking. If I'm using my first round draft pick on somebody, I don't want any hardcore.
So let me ask you a question.
Hardcore situation.
So let me ask you a question. So we all know Meg Thee Stallion, right? Just got out of court, and all her priors came out in court. So you mean to tell me you wouldn't waste a first round draft pick on Meg Thee Stallion because she done been around the block a few times? She done spent the corner.
Look, I gotta comment. I gotta comment on that later. We got a question that's gonna drop that. So I'm gonna say for right now that would not be my first round draft pick, and then I'll elaborate later on why that would not be my first round draft pick. Other than that, yeah, you pretty much hit on a lot of other things too. So I'm gonna kind of leave it right there for now.
So
stank breath is a no-go too.
That's fair. That's fair. Hey, so we got y'all said it, but for me, of course, you have your outside, so physical. How are you as a physical specimen? How do you show up? How do you appear? That's my number one. There's so many elements into that, and I'll dive a little bit deeper into that later. However, the other part is your IQ test, and y'all already said that. Can you hold a conversation? But I mean, like, it's not even just can you hold a conversation? Can you start a conversation? And then what energy are you a leader? I'm head honcho. I'm the GM. I'm the owner. I'm the president. So I can run, a team. But as for as me drafting you, can you come in to my locker room and not cause havoc, not be drama? You got good PR. You can show up well. Yep, you can push the agenda, but then, like I said, you also can be like, you can truly be the face of this franchise. It's not just because sometimes there's some first round draft picks that are role players, but that end up being role players. But if I'm trying to draft you my first round, since we're talking NBA, let's talk lottery. Lottery is like that top 10, that's the angle that I'm coming from. I need you to be the face of this franchise. And you can't there's a lot that goes into that. There's a lot that goes in, but
I'm gonna say this too. So we all have a military background, right? So we all know when our parents was like getting ready for the Air Force ball or something. You know what I mean? That was the local Air Force ball, whatever base you were at or whatever. So I look at it like this: if I can't take you to that Air Force ball and you shut it down, you can't be a first round draft pick. Like, I need you to be able to put on that gown, walk in that club, and everybody just turn.
Yeah.
Because she done shut it down. Okay.
Hey, another thing you said about the being able to shut it down is a part of being able to do interviews. How can you speak well when people are asking you questions? How are you up there yeah? Or are you actually even if you're not knowledgeable on something, able to, and I guess that goes into carrying a conversation. Yeah. So
you know your difference between your salad fork and your dinner fork.
Yeah, and so one thing I'm gonna say on that too, because a lot of times when you're in a first round draft pick, we know that people are not all the way there. We know there's some development that has to happen, even with a first round draft pick. So
for sure.
So can you be developed? Because someone may not be good with PR, But if you understand that that's a weakness and you actually want to get better in life, so that is a major first round draft quality. First round draft quality for me is someone that's already got it, but wants to go to the next level and is willing to take that feedback from someone to be able
I
to
just
get
want y'all
pushed.
to know we sounding real sexist right now.
No, look, but so like one thing, and that's why I honestly think that.
We sounding real.
Look, I know.
Capacity.
Look, I know. B Money has like some spins that he's going to kind of throw on this too. But one thing I want to liken it back, just tying it back to the NBA draft, and whether it's NBA draft, we talking about football draft. When you said physical specimen, and you all have heard attractiveness and a lot of that, that's exactly what's going on in the first round draft. There's a lot of quarterbacks that didn't get drafted in the first round because they were like 5'8", 5'9", or something, and they don't look the part. And they felt like there were a lot of questions until they proved themselves. Then once they proved themselves at combines, a lot of interviews, everything else, they like,
you done messed up, Drew. You done said that. What you
hey,
mean? I gotta prove myself.
hey,
I'm the full package. What you mean?
hey,
See?
at the end of the day, look, everybody that's going to the league is top notch for the most part. But we talking about first round draft picks. So
look, if you want to get drafted number 1 overall, you know what I'm saying? You can't have no holes in your game. That's all. That's all we're saying. You can't have no holes in your game.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, well, that's the only thing that I was going to add to that is the fact that, and I know you said about the interviewing, but if you're a lottery pick, there's a high possibility, even if you come in, out of high school, if you coming out of college, you didn't had enough, you didn't probably had some interviews. I'm not saying you got to be up there and be a 18-year vet, but I'm saying that you should be able to hold something where I don't want to draft you, and then the first time out, first interview, you like. So, like I said, there's levels to it.
That's your characteristic.
Yeah, that's my characteristic. So if we're talking about first round, draft picks or lottery picks, we didn't see, because that's the hard part. Because that's why I say lottery picks. You got the top of the round and you got the lower half of the round. Still makes you a first round draft pick. But what would make a draft pick fall from that lottery pick, or even we say first round, down into the second round or out of the lottery?
So that's the one I was kind of waiting on, because when B said, I mean, yeah, I see Megan Thee Stallion, some of her stuff just came out in court and she does have a past. So that is something that could drop her stock. It does not mean that she cannot gain some of that stock back when we start getting into that interview process, when you're in that courtship, when you're actually like hanging with that person. You kind of say like, man, I kind of saw all this stuff on their record, but like realistically it's not what the public view has of that person. So that's some of those type of things that's going to make the stock be mentioned bad breath. Like, man, that person was fine from afar, but when I got up close, like maybe it was just one bad meal. But then later on, it was like, no, this was like a consistent thing. So it was like, maybe there's some hygiene questions. So it's a lot of those things, like personality. A lot of people can hold a conversation very early, but then when you really start kind of diving into things, you kind of realize like, they a a-hole. And it's one thing if you an a-hole and it's actually it's making you who you are because you are first round draft pick qualities. Going back to the confidence versus arrogance, on the last conversation, the last show that we had, go check it out, the gray area, we legitimately said when you get to a certain level, a certain platform, you have to have, like in this situation, a-hole mentality, but it needs to be used for the right thing. Yeah. But if it's not being used for the right thing and it's going like just pure arrogance and you ain't proved yourself, that's going to be that situation where their stock's going to fall. For me.
So this is where I'll disagree with my brother Drew. What happened before me, I really could care less.
Boo!
I'm just being real. Like, honestly, what happened before me ain't really none of my business. As long as you healthy, and ain't like a million kids running around. You know what I'm saying? So other than that, like your body count, like, do we really care about body count nowadays?
So I do want to clarify. I was talking about like real felonies, but to liken it to just priors in general, I think that's like real good though. Cause I mean, that is a good spin on it. And it is something, like you said, you do kind of look at it because I mean, there's a level, and I know you on your piece, sometimes you got to see if somebody really leveled up when they get in with you, depending on where you're trying to go. Because sometimes if you're looking at like somebody's been with before, it ain't about the body count, but just like the quality of people that they've been with, then you have to almost kind of be like, so, am I questioning myself, or is this going to be something where I'm going to start seeing a different side come out of you?
Well, I do it all the time. Like back in the day, I would look at chicks and be like, so her last 3 boyfriends was ugly as shit. Pause. Am I ugly? Like, do I fall in that ugly category? Because the last 3 was ugly as all get out. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm looking at myself like, dang, do I fall in that ugly category? You know what I'm saying? Because you're like your last 3, or like your last dude was like, he gave off some homosexual tendencies. Like, do I seem soft? You know what I'm saying? Like, you ain't never asked yourself stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
I get that. I get it. But the thing, so what my spin is I think I do care about is, and we said it's like the mentality, because there's one thing is like, hey man, I was out at a party, this happened, I was there, but I wasn't involved. But if you're the person who's always leading the party, or there's certain things that you just see bad characteristics, and we say how they go about certain things, and you might say like, okay, I look at they past like they past people and what they've done, who they've been with. How does that look me? It might be one of those things that you just chose them. I think we get so many. We talk about like us courting people, or courting women, but yet then again, and if we're truly courting a woman and treating her like a queen, or like somebody that we want to be our first round draft pick, then at the end of the day, you're gonna have those levels of, hey, I'm finding out this information. I'm doing this. I'm seeing all this stuff. And when you're finding out this information, you see like, okay, maybe because we all know those girls in high school who like, dang, man, they, this nice little clean girl, but she couldn't be with me. I was the football player. You know what I'm saying? I was the prom king, all this stuff, you up here. So it might not even be that you wouldn't be with her, but she might not even ever approach you. She might not even ever come sit at your table because she's just like this, but she a cute little girl. And then, so it was always in B's word, the ugly guys who was like, she was giving them play because of the fact that those was the ones that were approaching her. So as I do my research, I can be like, nah, you just ain't had the opportunity to be with, a character like me or a franchise like me. So, and I'm just keep it straight. We see top draft picks not re-sign or force their way out of a franchise because that franchise is not a good franchise. I say franchise, that team or whatever. They're not a good franchise, good team.
They're not ran well.
Yeah, they're not ran well. So if there's going to be, if I have a number 1 draft pick who's a franchise and they a superstar, and they have that power to leave or force their way out, then that's why I was saying earlier, I don't think we coming off. I don't think it's a sexist thing. I think it's like, no, I'm having that same standard because I'm going to run my franchise at a high level. So I need high level, as they say, high character, right kind of player on my team.
If you look at a relationship as a franchise, right, and you look at each individual being, this is where it could be gender neutral. Each individual is making a pick at that point, right? So are you that person's number 1 pick? As the GM, you have to be able to identify those red flags, right? And that says this isn't going to be a well-ran organization. Like if as a man, if the woman isn't hitting XYZ on a regular basis, but you think you could change them just by getting in a relationship with them, you ignore those red flags. You feel me? Like, and then when you get in said relationship, now you mad. You know what I mean? Women, if you was with a brokey before you got married, then and he's still broke, that's your fault. You know what I'm saying? Like, you chose that at the end of the day. I know people are gonna get mad at me for saying that. I know. I know. But what I'm saying is, if you ignored those red flags in the beginning and still did something that you probably shouldn't have done.
Hey, bro, you said something. I kind of want to like piggyback on that. For anybody who knows, if you're going after like a high prize, you might trade away a whole bunch of draft picks. So that might kill your team for a little bit. So it might not be one of those things that you just a horrible ran franchise, even in that. Like, let's look at the Suns. they gave up a lot to get KD. So in KD, they gonna return. I think next year they're gonna be contending for a championship. And I'm saying this from a level that if you kind of hit a hard spot or hit a rock, that might not be you a bad ran franchise. It's just that maybe you also have vision to be like, because you have a lot of franchise players who like, I'm bouncing on this dude. And at the end of the day, it's like, hey, we in that growth part. But I see both of y'all got some disagreements. So go ahead and give me y'all pushback so I can.
Yeah, this is where I'm gonna push back on you, because at some point, you know what I mean, people date the exact same person over and over, but then they look for different results. What's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. So, like, okay, so your last dude beat on you. So you're looking for a dude that's not gonna beat on you this time, but emotionally he gonna beat on you. You get what I'm saying? It's nah. Like, if you keep doing the same thing over and over and over, you might be a bad GM.
Yeah, like somebody we talking about priors. That's like somebody saying like giving Ja Morant another big contract. So that's another reason where I say, like, hey, you're seeing a lot of this stuff and you're seeing the same trends, then you have to kind of consider that. So I actually thought you were going a different route. No, hold on. No, I thought you were going with no.
I'm talking. Go ahead.
No, I was talking about going a different route, because when you said the franchise players, like, and I'm gonna have to trade away a lot of assets. So I'm like, man, your team must be large. Well, no, he's talking about one individual.
Well, I would say that too. I mean, so before you get so I mean, that's what they want. They want us to keep it real, right? So before you get in a relationship, you might have a team, you might have a roster, you know what I'm saying? But then you find that one person that you willing to trade that entire roster for, you know what I'm saying? But then that's what you taking a gamble at that point, because if it don't work out, your roster gone.
So okay, so I'm going to go, because I see what y'all saying, and that is what I'm saying essentially. But the way that I'm saying it is like, okay, so say you used to be out in the club, you know, kicking and stuff, and maybe that's what, you know, attracted this high draft player. But you was out in the club because that's the way that you are. What you was doing was how your team was set up. You was always out on the streets. You was doing that. But now that you got this, you know, you be like, hey, you know, I'm not doing all that. I'm not flexing. You know what I'm saying? I'm still a flashy guy. I still step out. I look good, but I may not be flexing. And maybe what drew them to your franchise is the fact that they felt you was out there flexing. But now you like, nah, I got this one. So like, no, I'm not out there. I'm not doing all these different things.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. But I mean, I guess it depends if you're speaking for like a general person's number one draft picks. I think well, everything we just said, then that's not the same situation. And that's my only pushback.
And that yep. I get what you're saying.
Maybe I'm not articulating it the right way.
I don't think you are, because I get what you're saying, but I like to put it in layman's terms, right? And so that's what people want, the real. So let's be real. You as a single man, you got your starting five. You got your point guard, you got your shooting guard, your power forward, your center, and your shooting forward. You know what I'm saying? But then you at the mall one day, and the baddest shooting guard come walking down the hall, and you like, I'm gonna holler at the shooting guard. I'm gonna see what's up. As you start talking to the shooting guard, you feel like y'all got a lot of things in common. You know what? This is gonna be the Kobe Bryant of my generation. I'm a drafter. You know what I'm saying? In drafting that Kobe Bryant, you have to understand that your role players, they got to go, because she ain't gonna stand for it. So when you trade away all those role players,
they're gonna get other role players gonna get in the way if your star shining.
Right. So when you get rid of all those role players just to focus in on Kobe, are you taking a chance?
Yeah, I think there's a big risk there. But that's a risk franchises do all the time. And when you're trying to get that number one draft pick, is maybe you didn't get that person in the draft, and then so you look at another opportunity, and then that another opportunity comes knocking at your door. Then I mean, you might have to trade away those assets to get what you really want.
Okay. So here, let me try this again. No, because I'm about to say this. I know it's well said, but again, let me try this again. But so when you have role players, one of the reasons that I think in both genders that you have your role players or you have your team set up the way it is because each player provides something. Like one may be your fun person, one may be your like intellectual. But when you go for that franchise player or you picking that high draft pick, you're picking them ideally, you're picking them because they might be able to fulfill all of those or roles. Majority of those roles. As you're evaluating this person and you give up those assets and they're not able to fulfill those every single role as you thought. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes we make the mistake by holding on to that. And even like your quality of a person, you as a whole person starts to somewhat fall off because of the fact that you're not getting either push, you're not getting challenged in some of those areas. And that's why I said, but you know, at that point in time, I'm saying like, if you're that number one draft pick, you gotta like perform at that level to keep that person that you got. Like when you see them coming out, you see them moving the room, you see them doing that. But maybe if they not, I normally not the person to speak on this type of things, but maybe, you know, you didn't heard about them in the streets, like they put it down type thing. But you come in and like, I'm only going to do it once a week. And they just like, whatever. They're not as intrigued.
I feel what you're saying. I understand completely what you're saying. I would say
that can make a person. I was going to say that can make a person's stock, in my opinion, stock fall if as you start to do that research that they
like I think stock falls when you look at a person and you keep seeing tendencies of what they've dealt with in the past. If you see that over and over, stock falls because at the end of the day, it's like I'm gonna get in trouble for this. Bum dudes are contagious. And if you keep messing with bum dudes, that means you're gonna have bum pussy, ladies. I'm just gonna put it out there. I can't. There's no other way I can put it. If you keep doing it, then bum is what bum does. You know what I'm saying? Like it's contagious. Bum is contagious.
But since we're talking about first round draft picks, hopefully people doing their scouting reports and realizing those bums. they seeing those trends. That when you get in the fourth quarter,
I might edit that part out. I don't know.
Nah, you good. You good. But one thing you did say in that piece was person. And what one thing you guys have both said throughout this is like, man, people might think we sexist or somebody may, think that we just coming at women's heads. This is not in the question list, but I'm actually gonna throw a curveball at the producer and ask, from your perspective, we've been talking about a first round draft pick from our perspective. So what do you think if you going, so you getting drafted, are first round characteristics of what you're supposed to hold down from that person being drafted? Let's just say it plain. A woman's looking at you to get drafted. What characteristics do you think she should have in a man?
So now we're switch to the WNBA. Like the characteristics.
Be a female GM.
Okay. Okay. You saying characteristics? Or are you saying
first question? What you think? Because we talked about from like the woman perspective.
Okay, I like this because a lot of times I ain't gonna lie, I ain't got some feedback at times. Be like, oh yeah, I'll just be on there talking about women. Be like, no, but we've actually, if you really listen, we cross genders a lot. But let's be very direct and specific. So I appreciate that. All right, when my brother came to me with this, go back and watch the gray area. But I think if I would, the characteristics flip side, I would say that number one, they need to be able to lead. What does lead mean is they know how to manage situations. And I believe you can see that in just being around a person for a reasonable amount of time. Stressful situations, things going good, being able to adapt, knowing how to support and give, the team or giving the team or franchise whatever is needed at that time. You look at like a LeBron, he can get you 15 assists a night, or he can go drop 50. So number one, that is a true leader, understanding the entire and understanding the strengths of the team. Two, so being able to be a leader. Also, so
no provider in there.
We also look at you got to have a
provider
physical,
in there.
Yeah, you say what?
Provider. Go ahead, throw provider.
And a provider. And let me explain. being a provider don't always, you know what? We'll just leave it at that. I ain't even gonna dive down. Just being a provider. And on top of that, as we talked about on the other side, I think it goes both ways. Are they like a physical specimen to you that can be appreciated? Because everybody got their likes. So are they a physical specimen? And I want to clarify that from our question, even on the flip side. A physical specimen don't always mean that they got to look one way. As we talked about in our last episode, when we say like Lizzo with her confidence, what she do, somebody loves that. But if that ain't for you, that ain't for you. If it is for you and that's your first round lottery pick, go do it. So that's what I mean when I say a physical specific to the individual or to the team.
What are you attracted to at the end of the day?
Exactly. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like at this point in time, we're talking about first round draft picks, so it is what it is. If somebody don't like it, another team gonna draft them at some point in time. But yeah, I had to ask you that question to hear your perspective and just to make sure it's clear for the people that don't hear the fellas talking all worldly that we are talking about everybody at the same time. You heard B Bond say, if he a bum dude, stop being like bum, not dealing with bum dudes, like that's literally calling the guy a bum. But I mean, shit point or acknowledging that these guys do exist. There are bum dudes out there. There are guys, we just said a first round draft pick should be a provider. There are guys out there not providing and whatever that looks like. But I know B, you got anything to add on, what he just said before we get back to the regular?
I would say, ladies, if you look at how a man treats his mother, how he treats his mother, a lot of times to let you know how he's gonna treat you. If he cussing out moms, and if mom needs a ride and he like, nah, I ain't giving you no, you know what I'm saying? Like at the end of the day, that's the number one draft pick until you come along. You know what I'm saying? In my opinion, that's just my opinion. So that could be. But you don't want no mama's boys.
So I'm definitely not. It's hard because I don't want to push back on that. But there is one piece that I want to add is in this day and age, mamas are mamas, but they're not the same way that they used to be, in my opinion. Like sometimes if you got a lot of
young
mamas,
as I don't know, get what?
But yeah, that's what I'm saying. They trying to be a friend. So sometimes there's that level of just how you conduct, and fathers ain't the same. I mean, like just parenting. Let me say parenting so we can keep it consistent across the board. Because I'm not trying to just come at mamas, because I'm just saying that parents are a little different now these days. So I agree with you because it does matter, but you just got to watch that. That one you got to do a little research on. But if they do treat their mother with respect and not a mama's boy, I definitely 100% agree with that.
I got one before I ask you another one that I'm gonna add to that. There's a lot of people that give maybe this is a part of the leader. You want somebody that's decisive, that when you get in the bind, they're going to be able to make a decision, which also comes with that problem solving piece. And I can be wrong. Somebody can hop in the comments, go on IG, the Fellas Cast, go on Unacceptable Behavior Network and tell me that I'm wrong. But I think women really want, if their first round draft pick, for someone to kind of be that, I mean, you guys said everything else, the leader, but to be a problem solver and be decisive. Yeah. And you may not want that person all the time. What I'm going to say before I ask you, their stock may be able to fall when they're trying to solve all your problems and they're just not listening. And you get to that point where every single time you run into a situation, they got the perfect answer. I think that's going to, because I've been around some people and I try not to be that guy. I'm guilty of being a problem solver. I'm gonna be like, hey, what did you think about it this way? But I also know when I need to listen. But I think that will make somebody's stock fall when you get to somebody that's like, nah, man, what you need to do is this. This is gonna get you where you need to go. What your problem is, and that's just my thoughts on both of those things.
All right. Yeah. So I want to say this one. I agree with you, and I understand that because now I've seen it more frequently where I see like on Instagram, IG, whatever you young folk call it, but where they be like, the long story short, be like, well, what do you want to eat? And they be like, and the husband be like, I don't know, whatever you want to eat. And they be like, why don't you pick? So like in those type of things, they want you to make decisions on certain things that they come to you, but they got to realize that on the flip side, that can cause, because there is a difference between being controlling and leading, or, you know what I'm saying, managing how things go. So I'll just kind of leave that there, because if I do, we'll be going down a whole nother path. But so what is it? So we don't go too far different paths. We're talking about what can cause stock to rise or fall, what are some of those things that give that boom or bust traits? Like the things you just fall in love with, that you just like, dang, they can do this. They're really good at this one thing, and that's gonna keep them good, or they failed at this. It's like that love. It can be good.
Yeah. So a strength could be a boom or bust, like we talked about earlier. People taking care of themselves, and the attractiveness. All of us, see through our eyes. We feel in love through our eyes, and then sometimes you can see something, that physical specimen that looks like, yeah, that's my first round draft pick, and you get locked into that one trait the entire time, and you get blinders on. You miss everything else because some of the IQ, which isn't, always a deal breaker for everybody, but some of the IQ can't hold a conversation, nasty, attitudes, and those are some of those things where, and also attractiveness don't stay around all your life. Like, it starts looking, she is like she a bad 70-year-old, she 50, but at the end of the day, she's still like she 50. So those type of things will fade at some point in time. So I would say that's my like boom or bust trait, because of the fact that like it can be good in some scenarios and not be, or it could backfire in some form of fashion. Doesn't mean I don't like it. I love it, but at the same time, that's just to answer the question.
I'm gonna say what everybody wants to hear: sex. Sometimes you get locked into that relationship because the sex is great, but the relationship sucks. You know what I mean? And you can't get past, ladies, you can't get past the, being digmatized, and fellas, you can't get past the waterfall. You know what I'm saying? It's just, it is what it is. And you stick it out for years and years and years because that part of your relationship is great. You know what I mean? And if y'all are doing that, the arguments stop. You know what I mean? As long as that's going on, you're good to go. But when that stops, y'all at each other's throats. It's hard.
Yeah.
That's a boom or bust trait.
Yeah, that is a good one. Yeah. I was along those lines, but I would say the ability to connect. Everybody's had that where you first get together, that fire. I guess that's how most people would describe it. That I got that, man. It's just that fire, that spark between us, and all that type of stuff. And then as you get into it, and they stop trying. You know what? Better yet, that's what I'm saying. They're trying, because that's really what it all boiled down to. Overall, you might not have it that night. Your shot might be off, but are you hustling up and down the court? Trying to get every rebound, whatever the case may be. You just might be in a bad slump. But if I see you out there trying, then I gotta respect that. I can try to continue to work that. I can always at least always gives me hope that at some point in time you're gonna get out of that slump. So mine is just effort. Trying synonym being effort. That's mine. So
Gotcha.
Hey, so if they are a bust, because we know if they boom, then lottery pick. But if they are a bust, what are some bust things, or what are some things, better yet, what are some things, leading us to our last question, what are some things that can cause, a first round draft pick to fall out of the first round or even become an undrafted player?
They can't cook.
Yeah, like surefire on everybody's board. First round, they fell out the first round, might not even get drafted.
Their house is dirty and they can't cook. If you go over their house and you, one of the tall tale signs is the bathroom. How's that bathroom smelling? What's it looking like? You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna sound like a butthole. You ever go in the bathroom after a girl leave the bathroom? It's like right after they leave, and that lingering smell. You be like, no, can't go there. And then she in there cooking, and she frying you some chicken, but she ain't washed the chicken before she fried it. I'm running up out of there. I'm gone.
Hey, bro, it's funny because you said that. I saw a meme where someone was actually saying, look at that lady. They made it like a race thing, right? That white people wash their chicken before they cook it, and black people don't.
That-
Like it was a meme that made it like a race thing. Like, oh, look at that white lady over there, like washing her chicken. I was like, salmonella exists.
Yeah.
that's-
Or if you sitting there washing the chicken with Dawn dish soap, girl, bye. I'm out. I'm sorry. I got to go.
Man, see, yeah, I feel you on those. Like one of my things is going to be cleanliness is next to godliness. Remember that, people. What mine is resiliency, because when you first look at a surefire first round draft pick, I actually the trying piece that you mentioned earlier was where I was actually going to go on that question. But in that same vein, resiliency. Sometimes you can look at someone and they just killing it on the court. You know, you're seeing highlight reels. You seeing them in their best situation. You seeing them at the club. You seeing them at work after they've already prepped hours and hours of that briefing, and they're talking and nobody's talking back to them. But then when you really start watching the tape, when you really start spending that time around them, you see when they get that feedback because the briefing didn't go well, or you see that, you know, their shot was off that night, and you just see them breaking down. And then you see this time and time again. And then you start to realize this person doesn't have any resiliency. They don't actually exhibit that. And they're not even trying to be resilient or looking for opportunities. There's a lot of books and a lot of things out there to actually refine that craft or to develop that craft. So if somebody's not being resilient when you really like around that, that's something that's doesn't mean they won't get drafted or become an undrafted free agent and get better in life and develop. But they 100% falling out of the first round for me.
Go ahead, B.
I was going to throw in there, since we're in the day and age of where a lot of the women that are asking to be draft picks, they might have children. You know what I'm saying? How you treat your children as men, we do look at that, you know.
Yeah.
And if you constantly leaving your kid with grandma or with the babysitter or this, that, and other, just so you could go kick it, like, bruh.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? And I don't piggyback that because a lot of men get a bad rap for not taking care of your kids and not being around their kids. And that'd be the thing that most women, you know, he is sorry, you know, man, he don't take care of kids. He don't do all of that. But yet then again, you know, that's something that most people don't really all talk about with, like, hey, just because a kid's with you don't mean they're getting developed. Don't mean that they're getting raised. And again, you gave, you know, how men look at women, or at least the fellas would look at that. And I know I've heard it numerous times where women, you know, get a shot at men. That's just gender neutral. If you were bad parenting, you know, that's not good, man, because your kids didn't ask to be here. Give them a chance. So ain't nothing more important than them at that point, especially if you're not married already. I would say I have two, and one is very specific to me, but and that's a relationship with God. For me, is because of the fact that there's so many, and I'm not talking about religion, I'm talking about specifically a relationship with God, because a lot of the things that we talked about, I feel by having that relationship, if like a genuine one, you can grow into a lot of those things if you're following that path. It's just a good, you know, has a moral code in how you conduct yourself. So that's just one that's very specific to me, but one that I feel might be a little bit more universal is communication. I have a rough time being around individuals that cannot communicate. I say individuals, but specific to a draft pick, I'm talking about woman, and it's listen to what I'm saying. And also, you know, yeah, just listen to what I'm saying, respond to the conversation, be able to, and we talked about that at the beginning, because that could make you a first round draft pick, is the fact of your ability to be able to carry a conversation. And that's also, and communication is even arguing or debating something. That's still communicating. And can you communicate in those times? We can have emotions, we can have tension, we can be frustrated, but if your frustration leads to attacks, if your frustration leads to belittling me, if your frustration leads to you bringing up something that I did 5-10 years ago, and I've shown that I've even grown from that, but that's just your go-to because you don't know how to articulate your feelings or what you're thinking, hey, you falling out the first round You probably won't be able to get drafted because we can never see eye to eye. We can never have a vision that moves forward because the number one thing is you have your vision, but if you can't communicate your vision, then it don't matter.
But
So
I know that was the last question, and in Jew fashion, since you want to throw curveballs, I have a curveball for the fellas, and I'll answer last. We'll go to B Money first. You will be second, and then I'll go last. And we're gonna leave it just strictly on celebrity women. You have the number 1 draft pick. What celebrity woman are you taking with the number 1 pick? B Money.
Dang, that's a rough one. Yeah, he should have went first because he already had the questions. I mean, he got somebody in mind.
It's an easy answer for me.
Then you go first.
Janae Aiko. I'm taking Janae first.
Well, he said you was going second regardless. Hey, man. You know what's so crazy? Go ahead, bro. When we did Melanin Going Wrong, there was somebody that I left that I did not mention that was like, how did I forget them? And now I'm drawing a blank.
That means you just got to pick the first person off the top of your head.
I don't even have a first person on top of my head.
Dang, man.
Dang. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, y'all.
All right. I mean, I got some ones. I mean, B took one of my tops, and especially when you look at like top 3, go back and look at that episode. I'm gonna say someone people won't really think about, but I'm gonna put her up there, Zoe Saldana.
You said who?
Zoe. Avatar.
Oh, yeah. Got you.
Yeah. I was like Kerry Washington used to like be there for me, man. But then sometimes she'd just be crying too much. She'd be a little pouty face. I know it's part of acting. She's a great actress, but I mean, I still like Miss Kerry Washington. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Zoe.
All right. Mine used to be. Nah, I ain't gonna talk about what used to be. I was gonna say Gabrielle Union. She used to be, but for some reason she fell off to me. I'm just gonna say Megan Good. At the end of the day, I'll say Megan Good.
And solid. Look, I trust you guys as GMs. I trust you guys as GMs.
Yeah.
I had to, I was scared.
Yeah,
I was scared to let you go before me because I knew I was like, you gonna say Janae, and then I'm gonna have to pivot to my second pick. You know what I'm saying? Which would have been Christina Milian, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I think I had to pick Megan Good because she's shown a lot in a lot of her situations, and she's been consistent across the board. Even in like she shows she can be submissive in her marriage. I don't know how that all turned. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm going to get into it. Hey, but all right. Before we do get up out of here, Drew don't never let me producers talk like I want to talk. hey, we still good. Hey, be prepared. Drew gonna be the new producer because he always trying to. But hey, before we get out of here, now we gotta ask a question. Drew, it's good you asked your question. Huh? That's our parting shot. Yeah, before we get out of here. I just said that. See what I'm talking about? But at the end of the day, Drew, it was a good breakup when you asked your question in the middle. But since we said this, we're gonna go B-Bond first. Then we're gonna go Drew. Then I'm gonna go last. We talked about first round draft picks. Who will be our first round? If you yourself was getting drafted, what round would you go in?
Round 1, pick 1.
Is that you right now, or is that you coming out of college, coming out of high school?
Coming out of high school, you could draft me straight off the board. Round 1, pick 1. I'm confident, bro. Listen, at that stage, if you draft me straight out of high school, at that point, you're going off of pure potential. That I'm gonna bring you championships one day. You know what I'm saying? And if you would have stuck with me, you know what I'm saying? Like y'all stuck with Kobe, you had some championships. Now, if that's high school. Today, round one, pick one. Sure. We went in the first year in the league.
Okay. That was your partner shot. You got anything else to say to close up with? No, number
Franchise player over here.
one. I'm gonna change it up just so I just don't say round one. You know where I'm gonna end up. What I'm going to say is because we talked about like really doing your research and really diving into understanding why you're going to make that number one draft pick. We talked about physical specimens. I'm not 6 feet. I mean, I take care of my body, but for some women, I ain't dating nobody under 6 feet tall. And then they realize, all the bums are over 6 feet tall.
Nigga,
So
I'm 6'1". I ain't a bum.
this is my draft pick choice. So I'm going to say after people do their homework, surefire first round draft pick.
Since we're having this at this moment, hold on, wait. Let me ask you this because I did give B this option. Is that out of high school and right now? What's the out of high school and right now?
Yeah, so because when you say out of high school, for me, I'm also thinking there's people in that area as well too.
I'm saying like
and
college.
Going into college, like people that are also like watching it then I'm 100% saying first round, surefire then, because of the fact that in that moment, I feel like you're going to go look at certain attributes at that stage of your life. And I mean, there's a lot of things without going back on like, history.
Man, y'all had hair back then. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, look, that is true. There's some women that be like, I don't want no dude that don't have no hairline. I mean, I don't have a hairline because my head is bald. But those are those type of things like, hey, All-American champion, like all those type of things. I'm like, yeah, sure, first fire. I think when you get a little bit older, people should do their homework. And a lot of times, like we said, boomer bust traits, somebody can look at their first round, they not. So that's why I say, it's still going to be a first round at the end of it. I just kind of wanted to take the long route around it just to kind of explain it and change it up a little bit instead of just going first.
But right now, are you round one, pick one?
I am round one, pick one. And then, what I'm going to say, it wasn't Micah Parsons. I forgot who it was. Myles Garrett. It was somebody. No, because Myles Garrett was a round one, pick one. I'm just going to be one of those people. Like, if you don't pick me in the first round, pick one. I'm going to haunt you for the rest of your life every time you see me.
and let me say this, because it's okay, because we all different ages. So we all coming out of the draft at different times.
Hey, man, I'm going to say coming out of high school or college, I was probably in the second round. Hey, I'm a confident thing, but all the attributes I put on at the beginning are some of the things that it's okay. That's your first one draft pick, wasting water. But coming out just from the mentality, the way that I knew I lead, because there are people who are like 22, 23, who's out here like killing it. Going out here meeting with politicians and doing all that, or even potential millionaires. I wasn't doing that. I was just living life. I was a hustler, but I went there. So I would say second round coming out. I would definitely say surefire first round draft pick, where I'm at right now in life.
So you a sleeper pick.
Yeah, I'm a sleeper pick.
The person that drafted you back then, was a second, you a sleeper pick. There you go.
I'm the Kawhi Leonard without getting hurt.
I mean, and that's know who you are. That's the number one thing. You know what I'm saying?
Hold up, man. Hold up. Right. No, you ain't gonna give me that big girls need love too.
Know who you are. Coming out of high school, you said second round. It's cool. I mean, dark dudes wasn't in style then. It's okay.
No, hey, see, that's the thing is dark skinned men are always wear classic. There's sometimes we're high, some low, but we're always a classic. Like it's like wearing polo. You never go wrong. But there's sometimes polo is on the high rise, and sometimes it's just like you see somebody with it on, you're like, okay, that's cool.
Because everybody got it on.
Yeah, because everybody got it on. But,
whatever, name.
Hey, man, if y'all, I ain't even gonna say disagree, because I don't want y'all always have to think you gotta disagree. Because I think when we say disagree with us, you already start looking for the wrong. But I'm gonna say, if y'all have different points of views or something like that, hey man, come on. Hey, look, we did touch on the men a little bit, but hey, tell us if we wrong, or tell us if, what I'm saying? Ladies, give us y'all point of view. Fellas, let us know if y'all got anything that we didn't say. But Hey, this been another episode of the fellas. You know, I pray y'all stay blessed. We're gonna stay blessed. We appreciate y'all.
We out.